What if a night of fun turned into a real-life horror story after a wrestling event?
We refer to it as the Helter Skelter. It was actually the Marriott Los Angeles. There was fucking blood smeared on the hallway. You're like, what the fuck? What happened?
Back in the mid-90s, the wrestling world was a different beast. After a WWF House Show in Anaheim, California on December 29, 1994, a disturbing event unfolded involving wrestlers Tatanka and Jimmy Del Rey. What started as a typical night out for some wrestlers, letting loose at the hotel bar, ended in a chilling scene the next morning. Imagine waking up to find blood smeared in the hotel hallway and police in the lobby. After the WWF House Show, Nash, The Undertaker, Tatanka, and Jimmy Del Rey were hanging out at the hotel bar with a woman from the show. In wrestling, these women are often referred to as rats, a term that sadly reflects a lack of respect. Something sinister happened that night. Del Rey allegedly used Halcion, a drug you might not know about, to lace her drink. What is Halcion, you ask? More on that later. Nash and The Undertaker retired to their rooms, later seeing the woman with Del Rey and Tatanka. The next perspective we have comes from Kevin Nash in a shoot interview with Kayfabe Commentaries. He recounts stepping out of his room into a scene straight out of The Shining. There was blood everywhere. As he collected his bags to leave, he turned a corner and froze. There was a woman he had seen with the boys the night before, now in tears and flanked by police. Her hair, once full, now missing on one side, and blood smeared all over the place. Knowing he and The Undertaker, both towering figures, had been seen with her, Nash reached out to take her. Take that girl we were with last night. She's in the lobby with cops. Someone's shaved her head. Stay away from the lobby. They weren't involved. They just knew that they would be remembered. Their night out had unwittingly made them part of this story. What happened here? Let's talk about the drug at the center of some of wrestling's darkest moments. Back in the day, the WWE was less like a wrestling promotion and more like a traveling pharmacy. Jake the Snake once described the old WWE locker room by saying, "The number of pills that were being handed out at the WWE at the time was mind-boggling." Halcion stood out, not just as a way for wrestlers to get through the relentless schedules of matches, travel, and the constant need to perform, but also as a tool for some of the most vicious pranks or outright crimes you can imagine. Jake described the life of a wrestler as relentless. After the adrenaline of a match, sleep was the last thing on your mind, not unless you were Superman. So what did they do? They turned to Halcion. Jake explained how they'd break these pills into smaller pieces because just half could knock you out for 3 solid hours without any grogginess. It was like flipping a switch from wide awake to deep sleep, then back to ready to go again, fresh as if nothing had happened. But Halcion wasn't just a sleep aid. It became notorious among some for darker uses. Imagine the pranks that went beyond just laughs. Wrestlers would sneak Halcion into someone's drink or food, waiting for the moment they'd pass out. Think about being on a plane, suddenly knocked out cold, or worse, in a bar, vulnerable to anyone around you. Jake shared stories of chaos, of harm, all because someone thought it was funny to spike someone's drink with Halcion.
It used to be called H-bombing, and it was Halcions. And I've seen so many guys dropping these H-bombs in the drinks.
Halcion wasn't just a sleep aid. In the wrong hands, it turned into a weapon. This drug, meant to help, became part of the reason some nights ended up in places like hospitals. At the heart of the storm, Jimmy Del Rey, the Gigolo, and Tatanka. Tatanka was with Del Rey that night, but according to Nash, he was just an innocent bystander, truly in the wrong place at the wrong time. Del Rey, however, known as a wild card, his former tag team partner Dr. Tom Pritchard described him as a magnet for trouble. Jimmy Del Rey, known in wrestling circles for his antics, became the prime suspect in the minds of many when piecing together the events of that night. The woman's allegations included claims of being drugged and assaulted, aligning with Del Rey's track record. Finally, the fallout from that night. Jimmy Del Rey and Tatanka worked into July and August of 1995 before being removed from WWF shows. The victim filed a lawsuit against both. There isn't much info on the lawsuit itself, but Tatanka's suspension was lifted once it was established he wasn't directly involved, having passed out during the incident. Del Rey was fired from the WWF, officially due to budget cuts, but the timing suggests it was influenced by these events and the lawsuit. Del Rey then returned to Smoky Mountain Wrestling under Jim Cornette, making random appearances for WCW and ECW over the next year. His last match, according to CageMatch.net, was against Chris Jericho on WCW Saturday Night, December 19th, 1996. While editing this video, I found this is not true after digging into YouTube. Found a match from January 5th, 1997 with Jimmy Graffiti versus Billy Kidman. Another weird thing, on his Cage Match profile, When you look at this last match, according to them in December of 96, instead of going by the gimmick he had been using in WCW, he is listed as Jim Richland. Only other appearance I can find is from 2001 as a manager for the New Heavenly Bodies.
I think who was the, and I'll probably get a lawsuit if I say it, but
Jimmy Del Rey retired from wrestling in 1997 due to a knee injury. He went on to train at Steve Kearns Wrestling School in Florida for several years. There are reports that Del Rey worked for a flooring company in Tampa, Florida in the 2000s and early teens. Jimmy Del Rey died in a car accident on December 6, 2014, almost 20 years exactly after the incident in Anaheim, California. He suffered a heart attack while driving his F-150 truck, swerving and hitting a lamp post and fence. David Faria, aka Jimmy Del Rey, was rushed to the Tampa General Hospital but did not survive his injuries. If you enjoyed this dark tale from pro wrestling, you'll love the story of when Abdullah the Butcher went too far inside of the ring. You can check that out right here.